Hello and welcome to this video. This is an informational only video in which I'll be replacing one ground fault interrupter on one circuit, and then I'm going to be installing a couple of new ones. And before I get started on doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the safety things, and you should always use a licensed electrician to do this kind of work. First thing you're going to need is a proper voltmeter that measures AC voltage, such as this one here, some insulated test leads. You're going to need some safety glasses. You're going to need some UL rated GFCI circuit interrupters. They make both indoor and outdoor type. These are indoors I'm going to be doing. Also wanted to mention, if you have aluminum wiring in your house, you can't install these without doing a pigtail circuit. It's a little complex. I won't get into that. You're also going to need a lockout tagout for your power distribution center or your electrical box. And you should take all watches and jewelry off and set them aside. So having said that, first thing I'm going to do is show you how to do a three-way check on the socket itself to make sure that when we turn the power off, it's indeed off. And then I'll also show you how to lock out, tag out the power distribution center. This is an existing ground fault interrupter that's been installed probably many years ago. It's having some problems with occasionally it trips out on its own. We think that it's just old and needs to be replaced. And so what I'm doing right now is doing the first part of the check to show that it has voltage coming out of the socket itself, 120 volts AC. You have to have this on AC. And now I'm going to go turn the breaker off. I'll make sure that the voltage goes to 0 or near 0. And then I'll come back and check another socket and make sure that the meter is still working and reading. That's a 3-point check. So you check the source, you turn it off, make sure it's off, and then you check on another source to make sure the meter's okay so that nothing happened to the meter to cause it to fail. So I'll do that, and I'll show you how that works. This is step 2 of the 3-point check, and what I've done is I've killed the breakers out of the power distribution center or breaker box, and I've made sure that this indeed went to 0, and then I'll go to step 3 and I'll check on a different socket that I still have voltage to make sure the meter's okay. The other thing you can do is you can plug something in and see if it works, and it doesn't, so we're very sure the power's off. And I'm going to recheck it one more time after I pull this assembly out, and so then I'll be ready to replace the faulty ground fault interrupter. This is part 3 of the 3-part check. So what I've done is I'm checking to make sure that my meter's still okay. So this is a live circuit. The meter's okay. So now we know the other socket's dead. So I'm going to go out and show you how to completely lock out, tag out the power distribution center. I'm ready now to lock out, tag out my power distribution center. To do that, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to kill all of my secondary breakers and my main breaker, put my tag on it, and lock it out. And that's all there is on doing that. First thing I'm going to do is remove this outlet. One way or the other, somebody glued it on. So I'll have to pry this out. Now I'm going to loosen these 2 screws and take this old GFCI out. I'm going to pull it straight out a little bit. Wow, what a Mickey Mouse job somebody did. Look at this. It's got all sorts of crap snaked in here and crap. So I got to take all this and figure out what's going on, and then I'll come back. Okay, I went ahead and pulled the old GFCI out and cleaned up a little bit. Had lots of wires everywhere. I'm not really sure why. But the good news is my Romex wiring in here is copper wiring. So it's not aluminum, don't have to worry about that. These have already been stripped back to about the appropriate length using the strip gauge. This is on the back of the new GFCI. And just to make sure everything is good, I can do one more final check before I start working on it. And everything reads good. Now there's two ways to install these. In this case, this GFCI is only a GFCI outlet. Only the outlet's protected, not these switches. You can see where these switches sandwich off of here. So that's okay. You can do it either way. If you don't have a load on the circuit, then you go ahead and leave this label in place. So all you have to do is, if you look on the back of the unit here, it tells you what color goes where. So all you're going to do is push in the white here, and then the black, which is the hot wire, goes in here. And then the ground I'm going to attach right here. So that's what I'm going to do. And I got to see if these just push in like most of them do. Okay, it shows that as being the case. Okay, in this case, it looks like I have to push them in and then screw in the terminal to tighten it down. So that's what we'll do. Okay, that one's in. Now I'm going to put the black one in and do the same thing. And again, it tells you the color code back here, what to do. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, it looks like I need to back that screw out or push this in. Well, it doesn't want to go in, so I've got to figure out what's going on there. I think I see. There we go. And I want to make sure that insulation is all the way up to the GFCI. Then I'm going to tighten this up. Okay, that's good, that's good. Now all I have to do is do my ground wire. So I need to make a loop in the end of this ground here. So a couple of ways I can do it. Okay, so since you're going to be turning clockwise to tighten that wire, when you put the ground on, you want to put it so that the loop is going to the right. So I'm going to get that done here. Okay. And I like to take my screwdriver and bring the wire around before I tighten it. In other words, close the loop some. Then I'm going to tighten this down. And then installation is the reverse of taking it out. And this particular ground fault interrupter won't work unless the power's on. It's one of the new styles. This one's made by Cooper Tools. Okay, so now I've got to tuck all the wiring back in the wall. So I'm going to install it now, and you need to make sure it's right side up. And I got all the wiring pushed in there. I'm going to install it into this junction box or J box now, and just barely put the screws in so it has some flexibility to move around. Then I'm going to take the wall plate and fit it on, and then I can tighten these down accordingly before I put the wall plate on. So here's the new wall plate. I want to make sure it's all going to sit flush. So I'm going to need to move it over a little bit. It looks like I'm going to need to put some sealant around it. Okay, so I can bring it in a little more. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back in a second and I'll show you what the final look with just the wall plate looks like before I try to seal it. All right, I finished this installation. So what I'm going to do is go install another one. I'll show you that. And then we're going to go power it up and we'll make sure everything's okay. This is going to be a new install of a GFCI. This is another bathroom in this older house. Now, at the time this house was built, which is 38 years ago, I believe, they didn't have to have these in the installation. But in order to meet National Fire Protection Act codes, and by the way, you should always use UL listed products, you really want to add these in to avoid any kind of safety issues, like if somebody was to get shocked while they touch the sink while they're working with a radio in here or something like that. So this one is also powered down. I've done my 3-point check on it and it's got 0 volts on it. So what I'm going to do now is take the cover off, take the outlet out, see what we got inside, and hopefully should be a piece of cake. Okay, I'm going to see if I can carefully remove this. Pop it out. There we go. And let's see what we got. Okay, this one looks also like copper wiring. I can see the original Romex cable in here. It's all copper. That's good. All I got to do is simply cut these off, strip them to length, and I'll install the new GFCI. So I'm going to get those cut, get them stripped, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm ready to install the new GFCI breaker. And white goes into this one right here. And again, like I did on the other one, I'm going to tighten this up. And I have made sure that my power is completely off. So I'm going to push it again until the insulation meets the body. Snug it up real good and snug. And I'm going to leave this label on since this is not anything but a GFCI socket itself. It's not going to any of the other accessories. So now I've got to put on the other side. Which goes in something like this. And then I'm going to tighten it up, make sure the wires are actually captured properly. All right, now I'll hook up my ground and I'll install it and I'll come show you how it works. To re-enable the power, I'm just going to simply unlock my lockout tag out, take it off, open up my power distribution center, turn on the main breaker, and turn on all the other breakers that go with it. So everything should be powered back up in the house except for my water heater, which I have off at the moment. I've reapplied power by turning on the power distribution center. So now I'm ready to check this outlet. And it looks good. So to test it, like that. There we go. That should be protected now. And I'll plug something in and check it to make sure it works. Now we'll move over to the other outlet and see how that works. So this is the one I put in brand new. I'm going to test it now. Got to push it in. Looks good. Test it. Okay, and then I'll plug something in. And I'll be replacing these with rocker switches using this same color. This is light almond. These are 1970s colors here, and they're really hard to match. So that's really all there is to this video. Thank you for watching.